Third down and 20.
These Jags wide receivers are interesting.
The wide receivers. Yeah, I'm gonna take it here. Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, and Colin Johnson are super underrated. DJ Chark, there's like a huge debate in the Dynasty community over DJ Chark. I feel like we are all firmly on the overrated train for DJ Chark. I don't see it. I
never saw it. I never
Gage, to be honest.
I never understood the DJ Chark hype. I didn't like it. I liked Laviska Shenault coming out. Marvin Jones is a guy we'll touch on in a second, but I also like Colin Johnson. I think Colin Johnson out of Texas was a very underrated pick. I think he went in like the 6th round, if I'm correct. But I thought prior to his, I think, senior season, he was projected to go much higher than that, and I'm shocked he even
second or third round.
Yeah, I was shocked he fell to the 6th round, and just in the end. But he's a guy that I think is talented. There's just a lot of receivers in this Jaguars receiving core that are going to get some targets. I don't know who's going to make it out on top. But overall, I think DJ Chark is just not worth his price tag right now.
I think DJ Chark has been one of the best sells teams can make this offseason to people who are like, oh, Trevor Lawrence is number one. Like, if you're able to get good value on the Chark sell, congratulations.
On the
Thank
contrary,
God JT is not on right now.
Marvin Jones, I think, is the best buy. I saw a post on Twitter.
Marvin Jones is a nice
so I can
buy.
give credit to them. He has beaten his ADP. I think it was one of the DLF guys, Dynasty League.
Every single year for
every single year he's beaten his ADP, and it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again.
His ADP is 73. Are you crazy? He's going to finish a wide receiver. He's going to finish like a wide receiver 4th, and it's going to be people who have him are going to be happy they have him. And you could probably go out and buy him for not a whole lot right now. What do you think it would cost?
I have no idea. A third?
Marvin Jones,
a mid to late third. Like for a contending team, that's almost
I do that on a heartbeat.
Exactly. Like Marvin Jones is a guy that they went out and signed in free agency. Obviously, it wasn't a huge contract. It wasn't the money that Kenny Golladay got from the Giants or anything like that. But he's a guy that produces every single year and has produced every year of his career. I don't think it changes now. If anything, he's going to be taking balls from a guy that was the highest rated quarterback to come out since Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, whatever you want to say. So,
dude, Laviska Shenault, though, easily one of the most underrated players. The beast. I'm so long, to be honest.
I don't know how much, like, be in like that 26 to 30 range or the 25 to 30 range, I think is fine for him. I don't know if I can put him into like the top 22 receivers.
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing with him is I think he's receiver 29 right now. I think that is a pretty spot on evaluation of him. I don't think I would like. I put him as overrated because if I had to move him anywhere, I'd move him probably down a few slots before I move him up. But I do like Laviska Shenault. I think he's a very talented wide receiver. I think they're going to do a lot of things with him in this upcoming year with Urban Meyer trying to get creative. So overall, I do like him, but I can't put him up into that receiver 2 overall range.
All right, let's go into the Titans. This is like a stacked receiving core. Holy crap! Julio, A.J. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Des Fitzpatrick. I don't really think we need to say much on Julio and A.J. Brown. We all have A.J. Brown is overrated, but like by what?
I put C next to him.
It's the same argument. It's the same thing we said about Jonathan Taylor. He's ranked so high that you really can't move him up. But we're all confident that he's going to remain that top 5 wide receiver at worst.
He's a top
I don't think he's a top 5 guy. I'm going to come out and say it.
I don't know how you say that after his season.
Dude, I think never mind top 5. I think he's in my top 3 dynasty. You can make a case for 2 after.
See, that's
Justin
the
Jefferson.
problem is that A.J. Brown, if I had A.J. Brown, I would sell him because you can get a wide receiver 1, like the wide receiver 1 price for him. And I'm selling. I'm out.
You're in the minority, bud. But all right.
Maybe he's wide receiver 5. I'd much rather have Calvin Ridley.
Oh, I'd
still rather
You realize the age difference there. Right?
I don't care. I don't care about the age difference. I don't think A.J. Brown is going to be putting up.
I don't care about the age
yards
difference
for the next 10
when
years.
the production.
That's
I don't care
ridiculous
about
to
the
expect.
I don't
He's
care
not
about the age
Julio
difference.
Jones.
I like Calvin Ridley. AJ Brown, man, he's a fucking beast, and he's only entering his 3rd season. Like, I'm not an ageist as much as like JT, but man, AJ Brown is.
If they're going to put up the same numbers, which they
Calvin
probably
Ridley's gonna
are,
put up more.
no, he's not. He's not. He's just not. So
I'll take AJ Brown. I'm with you, Jake.
You want to make a pod bet?
what? Who's going to finish higher?
Yep. Who's
Next
gonna finish
season?
higher?
Just next season, or
Next year. Who's gonna finish higher next year?
are we taking into account injuries? Because both of them had injuries last year.
All right, they gotta. If one of them doesn't play, like, they have to play like a minimum of like what, 12 games, 13 games.
Sure.
All right, I'm taking Calvin Ridley. Easy,
All
no
right.
question, no doubt in my mind.
AJ Brown, and even if Calvin Ridley does finish slightly better, like, it's when the stats are identical, but one guy's like 4 or 5 years younger. I'm like, eh.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only difference. I believe the stats are going to be very, very similar.
Difference.
Very similar stats, but you got to take in the age at some point here. If you're going to think they're going to put up the similar stats, you got to take the guy that's younger.
I think Calvin Ridley's going to put up way more.
Way more.
All right, then that's fair. Okay. So I think, again, you're in the minority here. I think Julio's an interesting guy. He's receiver 36 right now. Us three have him as underrated, and not shockingly, I should say, JT has him overrated.
36 is a little bit low,
which is crazy because he's still a top.
It comes down to
still a top 24 year.
It comes down to health. That's pretty much what it is. That's the quickest way to put it.
As a guy that could finish receiver 1 just as easily as he could finish receiver 36, I think it's a little crazy.
I think Des Fitzpatrick is pretty interesting. I put him as my backup to own. I liked him coming out. He was a 4th round pick, I believe.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He had a great Senior Bowl.
Yeah. I think 95 is underrated. Everyone else agreed. I put him as my backup to own. Say Julio does get that injury, or if AJ Brown, I know he got hurt for a little bit last year. If he gets hurt, they lost their tight ends receiving threat was Jonnu Smith. I think he can step into that wide receiver 3 role. I'm not a big Josh Reynolds guy. He might start the year as wide receiver 3, but like long term, pretty on him. I think Des Fitzpatrick's someone who's interesting, and if you can grab him in the 4th round of your rookie drafts, I love that pick.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Dez is that he has an extremely versatile skill set. You can line him up in the slot. He can play on the outside. You can ask him to fill a whole lot of roles in your offense. So I think that he is a guy that will have a role. It's just, is he going to be able to beat out Josh Reynolds? I do think that Des Fitzpatrick is more of a long-term play, and it's like a long shot at that. But, I mean, you're picking him, in the 4th round? So you're paying for a long shot price. So Racey McMath, I think, is the only guy that's a bait on this team. I hated his tape. I think he's a jag and a half. He's athletic, but that's really it. But
that's a fake name. I still think that's a fake name.
I think these 4 guys, though, Julio, AJ Brown, Des Fitzpatrick, Josh Reynolds, I think that might be the best receiving core in the league, like hands down.
Ooh.
I mean, when you have AJ Brown and Julio at the top, it's hard.
That top duo is nice. Who would be second place? Oh no, I'm taking the Bucks.
No,
I'm taking the Titans. I think
Titans.
Is Antonio
that's pretty close. That's pretty close.
Is Antonio Brown still on the Bucks?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, I'm taking.
That's close, actually. That's close. I don't know. It depends on what AB you get. And the Bucks might get it in the tight ends because the Bucks have tight ends.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the Colts. The Colts, we think
right.
that the Colts are underrated across the board aside from Pittman. We are split on Michael Pittman.
JT put him as the most overrated.
I don't disagree with that, to be honest.
So why? I guess I'm a little confused on why you say he's overrated at wide receiver 43. I think he's a guy that had 2nd-round draft capital in him. He played well when he wasn't injured last year. He got a quarterback upgrade in the offseason. I'm just why would you say he's? I just want to see what you think.
I don't love him. For me, he would be in like late 30s range. Like I'd probably have him at like 37, 38.
I'm not saying he's like a guy that's like way underrated at 43, but I do think he is slightly underrated. And to call him overrated,
I was going to say, like,
if I
versus
could say
overrated,
that.
you'd have him in the later 40s.
Here's my problem with Michael Pittman. I liked Michael Pittman coming out. I still like him to a certain extent. But here's the thing. He was hurt for a large part of last season, right? But I saw a guy that was drafted to play he was drafted to stretch the field vertically, to almost replace T.Y. Hilton, right? To be a 50-50 ball kind of guy, be an all-around receiver. I think he's a glorified Denzel Mims. He was really only able to make money underneath. Oh, yeah, but here's the thing, right? I think he's a fine hold, but I can go ahead and sell Pittman for like 2 seconds, 2 random-ass seconds. I'll gladly do that. I'm out. Like, if I can do that, which is what I basically did in our league, like, I'm out. I don't want him. I'll take the 2 seconds over him.
It depends on what seconds you get. Yes, because as we talked about when we did our mock, I love the top half of the second round. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to say that's a bad idea, but I think 2 seconds is fine. But if you're going to end up trading him for 210 and 211, something like that, you're just taking dart throws at that point when you probably spent more than that in last year's draft to take him.
I'm
and at that point, why are you trading him?
I know Wentz also likes those kind of bigger body receivers. I'm not going to go overrated. I'm not saying he's the most underrated, but I like him a little bit more than 43.
Yeah. Anyways,
but I do understand your argument, Frank. This is a make or break year for him.
I don't think he's a terrible player. Like, I still like him to a certain extent. The thing is that I really didn't think he did anything, and I can still get. It's almost like, you have Henry Ruggs, you have Denzel Mims, you have all these guys that these people just want to hype up so much for underperforming. It's like, I get to get out for the same price that I got in for. I'll take it. Why not? For a similar price at least. Like, maybe not the same, but like for a similar price, I get to get out. I'll take it. I don't want in. I'd much rather have Paris Campbell than Michael Pittman. And it might be straight up, to be honest, because at least Paris Campbell, I've seen it. He just can't stay on the field. I don't hate Pittman. I don't want to buy into him.
That's right. We'll see this year. This is a big year for him.
Moving on to the other Indy wide receivers here. We got T.Y. at wide receiver 82. We got Paris Campbell at wide receiver 64. Zach Pascal at wide receiver 100. And Michael Strahan at
Michael Strand. Michael Scarn.
Michael Scarn. That's how you do the Scarn. Sorry, that episode of The Office was literally on right before this. So that was in my head. You're welcome. You're welcome for that little bit.
Dude, I think all those guys are underrated. Like, because I like Pascal, I like Campbell a lot. I still like T.Y. Hilton. So Michael Strand, I want to talk about really quickly. Michael Scarn, because the Colts have been doing this thing over and over and over, where at the back end of drafts, they just take these uber athletic dudes from no-name schools. And eventually it's got to work, right? Eventually it's got to work.
Yeah.
Michael Scarn, when I watched him on tape, like, I literally called him the Randy Moss of D2 football, because teams literally, it's like, we're just putting 3 fucking guys on him. Like, and he just runs straight. It's just Michael Scarn, run straight. Boom! You just chuck the ball up to him. I actually think he might be all right, and you can pick him up for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to go in, like, the final round of rookie draft?
The Scarn. That's how you do the Scarn.
I hate you both.
Anyway, I don't know if you guys have anything else to cover on this Indy receiving core.
T.Y. at 82, I don't hate. If you're able to get him for like a mid-late third, if you're a contender, I might take that chance. He had a really bad first half of the season last year, but over the last 6 weeks, in half-point PPR, he averaged about 15 points a game over the last 6 weeks of the season. He finished a little bit better. I have no idea how that receiving core is going to turn on in terms of who gets the most targets. Paris Campbell, I really like if he can just stay healthy. That's the only thing. if Paris Campbell can just stay healthy, I would like him so much more, and I would possibly have him the most underrated. But he just has to prove it to me. So those are my thoughts on those two guys.
Anyways, moving on to the clown fiesta that is the Houston Texans. Their receivers are no less of a clown fiesta than their running backs. They got Brandon Cooks, receiver 54, Nico Collins, 68, Randall Cobb, 155, Isaiah Coulter, 156, Kiki Cutie, 123, Chris Conley, 145, and Andre Roberts, not ranked. I don't really have much to say on this. I mean, I think we all agree that the receiver that we like out of this group
Nico,
is Nico Collins.
We talked about Nico earlier.
Dude, I think the tandem between Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins, and then having Cobb in the slot with Conley as well as a four, like this receiving group is really underrated. The problem is that their offensive line is booty. Their quarterbacks are trash, and they're not going to be able to run the football. So, like, what are you going to do? But I still like a lot of these receivers. It's just, if you're a contending team, oh my God, this is ridiculous. But yeah, we talked about Collins. This is a really slept on receiver group. There's definitely value here. It's just, when is it going to pan out? Is it going to be this year? Probably not. That's the problem.
Yeah, we talked about Nico Collins, how we like him at the end of the second earlier, but that's pretty much the only guy. Like, I guess Brandon Cooks, if you're a contender, can maybe sub in some weeks in the flex.
Maybe.
Dude, if you're the Texans, like, you're throwing this year.
Yeah.
You're throwing. Like, you need the number one pick. You need a top 3 pick. If you don't get a top 3 pick, that is a throw. Unless your team is, like, all of a sudden insanely good, which is probably not going to happen. You need a top pick.
I would be appalled and bet a lot of money that there aren't 3 teams that finished worse than the Texans.
Like they're literally just replacing the Jaguars from last year. Like the Jaguars, we all knew they needed a top pick.
Yeah,
and we all knew they were going to be the worst team. It's the same thing with the Texans.
I'm expecting.
And then they came out and won week 1.
Yeah, the Texans are going to win week 1 and then they're going to sock.
Yeah.